Welcome back, YouTubers, to another episode of Near Mint Condition,
where we're going to talk about adult cartoons.
Awesome! We get to talk about hentai?
No, kids watching. Remember Saturday morning cartoons?
Oh my god, yeah. I love Saturday morning cartoons!
They don't exist anymore.
There is no such thing.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Cartoon Network killed it.
But they do have shows for adults now. Or at least moderately.
Hold on, wait a minute. Are we being serious? There are no more... Because my kids get up on Saturday. And I assume they watch cartoons. I don't get up till noon.
Not like what we had on, Fox, where we would get up and watch,
where the networks have a cartoon block in the morning.
DuckTales, G.I. Joe, all that stuff. Nope.
So nothing TNT, at 4 o'clock. Nothing at 4 o'clock. Nothing on Saturday mornings.
But the thing is...
you have Cartoon Network.
Well, you have Cartoon Network.
You have YouTube.
You have YouTube and Netflix. Yeah. And my kids get up in the morning and they just turn on Netflix and watch cartoons that way.
Do they still eat cereal at least?
I don't know.
No, they don't make cereal anymore either.
What the fuck is going on?
No technology.
It's all corn husks.
You guys
all the way down.
I'm pretty sure Frosted fucking Flakes is made out of corn, Dan.
We've got adult cartoons now. So we've got, on Cartoon Network, we've got things like Samurai Jack is coming back.
It just came back. Yeah.
It just came back.
And the cool thing about Bob's Burgers is that it's one of the very few shows in which the whole cast is actually together.
While they shoot.
While they do the voice acting?
Yeah, and the best episodes you can tell where there's energy in the room.
So there's one where basically Linda is having a B&B.
What is the premise?
So the premise is you have a grill cook who starts his own business. And he fails. They're always struggling to make ends. But it's sort of like the Modern Family and how their struggles are as this weird mishmash family kind of lives their lives.
So you were about to, what's a highlighting episode or two?
For me, well, no, just to show how well the voice acting is and how just sort of how they go with it or wing it on some episodes. There's one episode where Linda, the wife or mother, has a bread and breakfast. And one of the couples staying at their house for this bread and breakfast is a bondage couple. Well, the young son, Gene, finds the mask of one of them after Linda, goes crazy and runs him off. And he puts the mask on, and literally he's just like, oh.
What would you guys say is the very first cartoon that was geared towards adults?
The Flintstones?
The Flintstones.
Really?
See, when I think of stuff that was
Simpsons.
Well, no, I mean, but the Flintstones and the Jetsons, those were prime time shows.
The Flintstones.
No, they were, and they were kind of like the Honeymooners, right? But they were still.
And they advertised cigarettes.
Yeah, I was gonna say they advertised cigarettes on the Flintstones.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll give you that. I was thinking more like the Simpsons.
The Simpsons would probably be the one for our era.
So that, to me, I think was the very first, because I remember as a kid that was the very first time I heard a bad word in a cartoon, like "Who the hell are you?" And I was like, oh, that little spiky-haired boy just said, "Who the hell are you?" That's cool, man, and that's not for kids. So
So you watched the Tracy
Ullman Show? Yeah, I did.
See, but I did always feel like I was getting away with something when we were watching The Simpsons, though.
Right, so that's the kind of thing, like the Flintstones and the Jetsons, I guess maybe back then it might have been like The Simpsons. But when I was growing up as a kid, it never felt like, oh, this is edgy.
My cat's breath smells like cat food. Why do people run from me?
I think the one show that we cannot not talk about is one of the first Cartoon Network's original programming, which was Space Ghost, Coast to Coast. When Space Ghost Coast to Coast premiered, it came on at midnight, and it was a talk show, where they ad-libbed everything, and they used 4 frames of animation for Space Ghost.
That's all you need.
The guests had no idea what the interview was going to be about, and it turned out to be amazing. We got Brack out of there.
Don't touch me!
Zorak, rest in peace. So, there were a lot of great things that happened with Space Ghost, and I've kind of pioneered, from that we got Brack Show.
Hello, my name is Brack. Hello, my name is Brack. I live in the house down the street. I'm wearing clean underwear. You are not. You got me.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Where is my popsicle?
Please, wait a second.
I require a popsicle every 15 minutes.
C-Lab.
How you feeling? Feeling okay today?
Yeah, I guess, pretty good, you know.
Did you say pretty good? Well, how'd you like to feel really good?
You know, all these shows.
Yeah,
My personal
the
favorite,
Adult Swim.
Harvey
shows.
Birdman.
And you think I named myself Black Vulcan? Hell no. I used to go by Supervolt. Black Vulcan was Aquaman's idea. And I said, well, maybe we should just call you Whitefish.
You know,
I
love Harvey Birdman.
I think it's more acceptable now than it was, because I know the creator Ren and Stimpy, when he put forth his ideal for Ren and Stimpy, it was more of an adult show. And Nickelodeon was like, no, we can't do that.
Right, they have one episode
Clean
that
it
they,
up.
Man's Best Friend. I think
Man's
they
Best
cut
Friend,
that one out. But Ren and Stimpy, like,
well, and it came back on Spike Network.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
like
and it was-
edgier and more, but it kind of
Okay.
lost its thing.
Ren and Stimpy was great because you always kind of knew that they were a couple, right? But it was
They had,
never
like,
in your
a little
face.
Farts on or something.
When it was brought back on, I think it was on, was it FX
It
or
was
Spike?
Spike.
When they brought it back, it was in your face. No,
Yeah.
these guys, one is the catcher and one is the pitcher. And they even made jokes like that.
Right.
And that's what became the joke of the whole thing. And it kind of took away from the magic of these two idiots that are going
that
door
was-
to door selling salve.
Rick and Morty, which, you know, again, and talking about ad-libbing and things like that, where some of the episodes, some of the best episodes are just
When they get
completely
drunk?
ad-libbed and drunk, and
Yes,
they're just
I agree.
animating around what they happen to record, which actually seems really familiar.
So it's about an alcoholic grandfather that moves in with his daughter's family, and his best friend happens to be his grandson, who is kind of like a nerdy virgin character. And
He's the moral compass.
moral compass, maybe, but he's still trying to get in the girl's
No,
pants.
yeah, it's funny because, like, you know,
It's
you're
coming
watching
of
this,
age.
and there are parts of it, you know, if you don't know what you're watching, it's like, oh, this is just a funny cartoon, and then all of a sudden, Mort, who's 14, is yelling, "Dad, I'm in here with a laptop. You can't just barge in here."
That is not a child. That's not appropriate for children. Kind of talked about it before, but I would be remiss not to bring it up for adult-focused cartoons, and that would be Aaron McGruder's The Boondocks. We got 4 seasons of this, and it focuses on Grandpa raising these 2 little grandkids, and one of them is a very militant, and the other is just kind of a hood rat. And it originally started as a comic. Aaron McGruder has a very political, very black experience comic that then translated to a very adult cartoon with language and kung fu and a whole kinds of African American real situations that occurred.
So
And
almost like the Flintstones.
Yeah.
With a black family.
Well, you know, prosperous black families. Like, you know, Grandpa like lived in a banging house and drove a banging car and had banging chicks that would come by, and the kids were like,
He is no Dr. Huxley. But who would want to be these
so
things, really?
I absolutely love the Boondocks. Bought all the seasons and was very sad when McGruder decided to let it go.
But I don't mind that. I don't mind when the creator themselves are like, you know what, it's over. Like, it's when the studio walks in that's like, no, Akira Toriyama, it does not end with the Frieza saga.
5 minutes.
A lot of people love to let their kids watch Adventure Time, but there are a lot of adult themes. They start out with this tiny, like, atmospheric world, and it slowly starts branching off into deeper detail. So you really get to know more about the characters, about how messed up and fucked up this world actually is, and what happened in the pre-dawn before this world was set.
Is this still going?
Right
Yeah.
now, yes.
Okay.
And it's
What do you enjoy about it?
so one, it's an evolving story. It's not like The Simpsons where it's
Well, it
Sparta's stuck in the 5th grade.
you know, Finn is getting older and
it's
having
episodic,
experiences
but
that,
it is
right. So it's
progressive.
but it's also, there's no real continuity to it. Like, there is, but there isn't.
Right.
And it's kind of just pick and choose whatever you want for a particular episode. And there are some episodes that are like building up to a big story, and there are some episodes that are just batshit ridiculous. And I just really enjoy it.
I myself have found cartoons that I really enjoy because my kids started watching it. We talked about My Little Pony. We talked about Ninja Turtles. This is one of my favorite cartoons, and I'm sad that it's coming to an end next season. But you know what? Spoilers.
Spoilers.
When you kill Shredder, what else is there to do?
in the comic, sure.
So, and one of the recent ones that they've gotten into so much that they're watching videos on how deep these stories are. I had no idea it was Steven Universe.
Oh yeah,
Like,
Steven
my
Universe.
kids love Steven Universe and, what was it, Gumball? But yeah, they started watching the Steven Universe episodes, and they started watching YouTubes about like just taking the episodes apart, and I'm like, what are you kids watching? That sounds a lot smarter than our show.
The show that I cosplay as Pearl. So in Steven Universe, it divulges into kind of what we're all experiencing as a culture is gender issues. So these gems are genderless, but they manifest themselves as female when they form. But essentially, they don't have a gender because they're embodiments of light. I know, it's going really, really inch deep, but it's kind of about how relationships work, and it's almost coming at it kind of like how kids would experience. You know, because Steven's the kid, he's the main character, all this is going around, and it's sort of as background noise. So, like, Pearl, one of the characters, had a very deep infatuation, a love for Steven's mother, Rose, but she decided to go with a man, which, you know, was completely a human guy, rather than her own kind. And all this is going on in this world, and as a kid, you're probably not invested in that story, but it's happening around Steven's character.
Archer. We have Sterling Archer, who is voiced by H. John Benjamin. There's also other characters, such as Aisha Taylor. What's the name of the lady who was in the Arrested Development?
Jessica Walters.
Thank you, Jessica Walters. Lots of famous voice actors, and this focuses on
Damn, Wikipedia.
Damn, Googlepedia. All right.
I'll give you a clap. I got
Give him the clap.
That will not be the first time he said that. Go ahead.
Phrasing, which is a coin phrase of Archer. Like, instead of saying that's what she said, it's phrasing. So this is all about Archer, who thinks he's awesome. He drinks more than I do. That's saying a lot.
22 black, 22 black ass, son of a bitch. Not you, giant African man. I'm sorry. Can I offer you a drink? How about this expensive prostitute?
And he goes out and he thinks he is a secret agent. They have an agency called ISIS, which they had to change the name of that later on. And they go on wacky hijink adventures, and he thinks he's just this beautiful person. And the voice of Sterling Archer is fantastic because it's just so smug and grovelly, and the way he approaches all situations is hilarious. And there's 7 seasons of this, I believe, and this is one of those shows where I would work from home and watch it over lunch because it's fantastic. Definitely, they say every curse word you can think of, talk about all kinds of horrible things, shoot people, blood, splatter, but
violence, gore.
Lots of sex, lots of violence, all kinds of horrible things, but it is hilarious. And every time there's a new season up on Netflix or whatever, I'm all about it. So I love me some Archer.
Another one that was a Cartoon Network that was done by Doc Hammer and Jackson Public was Venture Brothers. Mm-hmm. So two brothers, Johnny Quest basically-esque. You know, dad is this sort of like supposed to be this brain scientist, but he's not. He's not. His dad, the grandfather, was, but he's not. Now his brother, the twin, is. But I think we're still waiting on another season. Maybe every time they say that they're going to stop doing it and not put out another season, a couple years roll by and they put out another season.
There are a lot of these that I could recommend to people, like Robot Chicken.
So I says, forget about me blue diamonds and worry about me blue balls, yeah.
Well, the Clone Wars cartoon is awesome. But the one that I have to go with is Futurama. I love Futurama. It's basically how The Simpsons should have gone, where the characters do evolve. So, if you haven't seen Futurama, I highly suggest it. It's one of my favorite cartoons, one of my favorite series ever. So, it's about Fry, this guy right here, who travels to the future on accident, because he's a pizza delivery boy and a complete loser. And it's his adventure in the future. And every episode is ridiculous. Like, the one episode I guess I will talk about is... to kind of give you an idea of what it is. You guys have all seen it, right?
His dog waits for him.
Okay, there are some really depressing episodes, like with his brother, and the dog episode, which everybody talks about the dog episode. My favorite episode is the one where they go back in time, and they accidentally land in Roswell, and during the UFO landing. And in Roswell, he runs into his grandfather. So the professor's like, whatever you do, don't mess up anything, because you could screw up the time continuum. Space-time continuum. So he was like, okay. He sees that his grandfather's almost about to get killed, so he takes him out to the middle of nowhere, where, unfortunately, his grandfather gets killed by a nuclear bomb, because they were testing nuclear bombs there. So he killed his grandfather. Luckily for Fry, he's like a fucking idiot, and he ends up hooking up with his grandmother, and he has sex with his grandmother, therefore becoming his own grandfather. And that episode won like an award because it's so brilliant. The show is phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's got really good stories too, not just goofy stories. So yeah, growing up isn't so bad, huh?
Thank you guys for watching another Near Mint Condition. Did we miss a cartoon that you enjoy? Like Afro Samurai? Or did we not talk enough about Steven Universe? Please comment down below. If you like, subscribe, let us know.
I didn't invent that.
But he jerks off to it.
Oh, God.
No, who does it?
You know, right. You should get them in the refrigerator. Just like, yeah, that's the
How you like your bitches cold and stuffed.
That is how you move a fly.
That is not the outtake.